instant justice. That's why we have said, for example, that as you drive towards Thika or any other part, there are these mobile courts. You're caught over speeding. This is the speed you are driving. Do you admit? Yes. There's a magistrate. Prison department is there. You pay your fine and go on. So you want to reduce the time within which justice is actually dispensed. And I think then the second level, I think we need to come up with a system that will allow everybody to be like an enforcer. For example, if I'm driving and I see you misbehaving, you're in front of me, or you're just overtaking recklessly, what can I do? And what we're really trying to work on is probably an application where I can be able to say motor vehicle XYZ, overtaking or drunk driving. And this is also largely informed because a lot of the accidents, when you later talk to the passengers, they'll be saying, we came all the way from Kisii. The driver was overspeeding. The driver was doing all this manner of things. But in reality, the passengers really have nothing they can do. So we also want to look for a way in which we can be able to empower their passengers. And I think that's why we are trying. There's a campaign we want to run, and it's been going on. It's called Toa Sauti. Do you want to wait until you're in the hospital bed to tell us how badly the vehicle was being driven? Or would you rather not let the authorities know and probably action taken before the accident occurs? So what we want to say is, let everybody feel empowered. The policemen can do their work, but even you in your own small way, you should be empowered to be able to say, I'm driving on this matatu, the driver is drunk, or like you've seen actually in recent days, drivers especially, they will get to a certain point, disembark, give another turn boy, go with the bus, with the passengers, and finally come back. Do we want to allow these things to go on? You know? So I think what you want to say is that the passenger or the ordinary citizen must be empowered. And I think we must work also with technology companies. That's why you've seen, like in Nairobi, we started to have these cameras, you know, so that if you go past the red lights, you'll be nabbed, and of course action will be taken. So I think there are all manner of things we are trying to do, but I think the first one, like I said, is to empower the ordinary citizen to take charge of his own road safety.
Talking of the enforcement of the traffic laws and of course empowerment of the citizens, we have an initiative here on Citizen called Roadhog.
Yeah.
And for a couple of times we've seen, you know, public officers, GK vehicles actually literally in broad daylight flouting traffic rules, and somebody would wonder what kind of example is being set.
Thank you. I think, like I said, no one is innocent on the issue of road safety, in my opinion. I believe we're all guilty at one point or the other. It is true that the GK vehicles, sometimes the people who should actually set the example are the ones who are, of course, the first ones to go against it. And that's why we have said that we are not saying that we are not there for just reforming the matatus. I guess everybody, even the pedestrian, has a role to play. And I think what we want to do, and this is an area we're working with people in the legal fraternity, we want to probably see how such evidence like what you're talking about can be used in court to lead to prosecution. Okay, how you can use electronic evidence to prosecute somebody. You are caught on this road on this date, and on the basis of this, are you guilty or otherwise? And if you're guilty, then you're charged appropriately. So one, I want, of course, to thank the citizen, because that is what you call a citizen initiative, you know, a media house initiative, trying to say, although I can't do much, I can expose you. Okay, and exposing is the first thing. Then now we go to the next level of prosecution, because we don't want just to say shame on you and then the story there. We need to take it to the next level. And to that effect also, I think in the coming year we are trying to work with other bodies, and one of the things we'll be trying to do is also to recognize media houses or persons, matatu circles or drivers who have gone out of their way to make our roads safer. And I want to say that there are even people who volunteer to help kids cross zebra crossings for no money, for no benefits, but they just feel that across my house there's a zebra crossing, and every time I see kids crossing there, my hairs, you know. So what they do is they say, every day in the morning I will be there. So he's saying there are also many citizens who want to be part of this whole thing. We also need to come up with a mechanism that allows me, if on Tuesday is my off day and I want to give my 2 hours to serve other Kenyans, because we have many ways we can serve our people. How can I do that? So we are also trying to come up with mechanisms, and that's why Mutegi is talking about marshals. You know, traffic marshals are not policemen. They're just people who help us to manage the traffic. It could be traffic, zebra crossing, and all these other issues. And I think no country has succeeded in road safety without the realization by everybody that we all must take action. I must say that, like in Australia, there was a time when one of the presidential candidates was doing the campaigns and didn't have a safety belt in his car, and he really had to answer questions. So we must take it to that level, that we must also lead by example. Absolutely.
Yeah. There's a question, probably just a suggestion, and perhaps you could give your your side to it. There's somebody saying here, much as you blame the drivers, there are other two major factors. Number one, almost all roads in Kenya are unmarked, and the marked ones use substandard print, which is not reflective as a result of corruption. Curb corruption in the traffic police and punitive cosmetic traffic swoops, which are meant to collect money rather than genuine vehicle checks.
Yeah. Yes, I want to agree with him, and I have said no one is innocent on the issue of road safety. No one can claim they've done their part. And this is from the roads department, for example. We could do more. And I'm sure you've also seen areas where you'll see the traffic lights, for example, where it goes green, you can cross. But there's no zebra crossing down there. So really, and when you go to your driving school, you're told, allow people to cross on zebra crossings. So where are they? So it is true we also have our own challenges. You will go to certain sections of the road where you have huge populations on both sides, but there's no mechanism for people to cross over or under, and thereby you have road accidents. The issue of road markings, I also want to agree, like I said, is a challenge. We need to up our game. So I think, like I said, the point is road safety will not be achieved by the matatu people only. I think all agencies, even counties, for example. I want to say that a lot of people riding on motorbikes and border borders don't have the helmets. And some counties are going out of their way to ensure that they enforce the issue of the helmet. And I want to say, like Nairobi, in my opinion, is doing a good job. But a good number of the other counties with a very huge population of the border pedestrians, passengers, they are not enforcing it. So again, we're saying everybody has a role in this whole game. And I think what we'll want to do is to bring all stakeholders together, the media, and I think they are doing their part in terms of exposing the problem. The counties also have their role. The leadership also have their role, also in terms of allocating budgets. And the gentleman talking about paint and reflective paint and all that, he also has a point. Because when you're driving at night and the road is not marked, and maybe it's foggy, for example, your visibility is compromised. So again, he has a point, I must agree. And the point we want is, as we're coming up with a document that will agree, every problem has an action point. Who takes action on that particular matter? And I'm sure we'll make progress on that.
In the whole scenario, how do you deal with corruption? How do you eliminate or at least reduce?
Major issue.
Yeah, I think
changes that envisage.
Yeah, we must agree that number one, the issue of corruption is there. The challenge of corruption is there. And I think what we must agree is that corruption doesn't just happen. It happens in a certain environment where the giver and the taker are both willing participants in that whole transaction. So I think one of the things we want to do, like I said, is to make the issue of justice easy. When you're driving towards Kisumu, you're caught over speeding, and you are told, we'll give you a bond. You come next week on Wednesday so that we take you to court. Naturally, to come all the way from Kisumu, maybe to Naivasha, so that you can go. You see, you make the whole justice system such a punishment. That's why we have said you'll have your court there when you get it. You're wrong, you admit, you go. So that, in my opinion, will cut down the issue of corruption. Number two is automation. We have speed guns mounted across the major highways. So if you have a speeding, they'll get your image, both you and the vehicle and the registration. Then since we'll automate the registration, we can be able now to track the motor vehicle registration number and the owner. And we'll be able to write to Mutegi and say, on this day, you're probably over speeding, or this and this thing was happening to you. And lastly also, we must agree that I've talked about everybody becoming an enforcer. Okay? So we are trying to work on probably applications where you can report such. You know, we're caught over speeding, and then they want us to bribe them, you know. So, and then, like I said, in the past also, it was difficult for you to pay. But now, the judiciary has also come up with an M-Pesa number. So if you're caught over speeding, and maybe it's 5 or whatever, 1,000, you pay with your M-Pesa bill number, and you're given a number that confirms you paid. And I think it's something that we must all agree. And then why would you want to pay 10,000 for a worn-out tire that costs 5,000? Wouldn't you rather have your tire okay or your windscreen? So I think Kenyans have to do the mathematics. It's easier to comply. Or sometimes you're overspeeding, you're caught, you waste your 20, 30 minutes. Why didn't you drive at the right speed and arrive on time? You're not tired, you've not aggressed anybody. So I think all these issues put together will get us somewhere.
All right, perhaps as we wind up, there's a question here in regards to how we can settle road disputes, especially in case of an accident. Somebody says here, my car was hit by a matatu near Thika. The driver then took off. I reported the case at Thika police. Today, 3 months, nothing has happened.
Thank you. One of the things we are trying to work with the matatu industry, and I must say I'm happy especially with the leadership because they have embraced the whole idea, is that most of the matatu people are employed for the day. So tomorrow they won't be there. So if they end up caught up in a small accident here and there, why would they have to wait? They just run, the owner of the vehicle will come and deal with it. So one of the recommendations is that you must employ that person permanently. Pay his NSSF so that he feels that this is his office and treats it with the respect that he deserves. And once that is done, if the vehicle is involved in that sort of an accident, he won't run away because he has nowhere to come tomorrow. In fact, you have said if you've been working for company X and you want to go to company Y, get clearance from this one. So until you formalize the employment structures within the matatu industry, they will not look at it as a long-term industry, and therefore they will not invest in it long-term. So a lot of the attitude within the matatu industry is about now and here. Okay, and that's why they're caught doing the wrong thing. They'll just leave the matatu and go to another one. So I think we'll try and work around that. Secondly, also we would want to work with the judiciary to come up with what you call traffic courts, so that we can hasten the process. So if you're involved in a small whatever, you agree on a settlement or judgment comes in good time, and thereby you're able to move on. Of course, you know we have all other courts except the traffic court. So I think we really need to work clearly so that we can be able to move with speed in that area.
Right, many thanks. Perhaps one will take you final.
In some countries, you find the traffic police, they have a computer that has registered for. If you put you ask this number, they look your number, the status of the car is known.
Yes.
Is it possible to do that one? In any case, our police don't even have the vehicles.
Absolutely, yeah. So I said that we are automating our motor vehicle registration units. So by keying in the registration number, we'll get to know who is the registered owner. Now, the other challenge we've had in the past is that I'll sell a vehicle to you, but you will not transfer. So it remains in my name. So I think we are also trying to come up with a legislative process that will say you should not go beyond, say, 7 days, so that we know the actual names that are there are the names that appear on the logbook. So if a vehicle is caught misbehaving on the road, the name that appears in the logbook is the name that will be liable. So what we want, like I said, is let the information be there. And then this information can be shared with many other departments, including for security purposes, and then also for insurance. If it is seen that a particular motor vehicle is notorious over speeds and they do all manner of things, then naturally your risk is higher. So you pay a higher premium. So I think what you're saying is that we want to avail the information so that the different arms of government, say judiciary and otherwise, can be able to take the appropriate decision and to move on.
All right, many thanks indeed. Talking to Kinyanjui-Chairman, the board of the National Transport and Safety Authority. We'll be right back. Don't go away. Thank you so much.